I'm just going to invite each of the panellists to introduce themselves.
Hi, so I'm Hannah Wolsey. I'm the owner of Urban Emporiums. We've got 2 coffee shops, one in just off Church Street, off Cornwall Road on Church Street, and the other one's in Jewellery Quarter. We established in 2009, then opened up the Jewellery Quarter one in 2010. So been going a while, 10-year anniversary next year, which we're very excited about. We've had 5 in the past, and I'm sure I'll go into a lot more detail on what happened with those. And we're just negotiating a 3rd to open up in Solihull in the next month or so as well.
I'm Jane Yates and I'm the co-founder of Not Dogs. We started our meat-free food business in 2014 in a tiny little food truck, so we went to a lot of festivals testing the idea, and then at the end of 2016 we launched our first restaurant in Birmingham's Bullring. So that's still going strong now, and then May this year, we opened our 2nd restaurant at Chessington World of Adventures, which is a theme park down in Surrey. I started my career in marketing, so I did marketing at university. So I've come into sort of this business a little bit differently. So I'll be open to any of your questions about taking a different route.
Hi everyone, my name is Reena. I'm one of the co-founders of Green Sisters. So we produce authentic Indian foods with a little bit of a twist. So the twist being that they are gluten-free, vegan-friendly, and a core range that's free from all 14 allergens, so no nuts, eggs, dairy, anything like that in there. The reason we sort of started is because my sister's actually a celiac, so she can't eat gluten, and that she's been celiac for 15 years or so. So as a family we would innovate in our kitchen, and I'm a real foodie before I started Green Sisters, but without realising we were very innovative in our home kitchen. We had a lot of people saying to us, can we, you should sell the food, you should open a restaurant and things like that. So we started, my sister's part of a celiac society, so they asked her to come in and serve up some of the food, and then so we took our samosas and they just flew off. Everybody loved them, so we sort of stumbled into being a manufacturer. So we've recently started scaling up. We've got a production unit now, and I guess now is the time in our business which is exciting, so we're starting to scale up. I graduated from Aston 2 years ago, and then I went straight into starting up this business, so I think that was quite a big leap for me. So if anybody's thinking about starting up straight after university, then I'd be happy to sort of speak to you and answer any of your questions. And I didn't have any food experience other than being a real food lover, so that was also a bit of an eye-opener. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions as we go through.
Well, I've got some discussion points just to start off with, and then we'll open it out to you guys. So first one is, what was your motivation behind starting the business? So I suppose that really early stage story of, was it something that came to you, or were you kind of looking for a business to start anyway, I suppose? Jane, do you want to?
I was not looking for a business. I was as I said, in marketing before, and I remember once saying to my boss, I'm never having my own business, because I saw all the trials he went through. But here I am. So we started Not Dogs just with an idea for basically somewhere where myself as a vegetarian and Katie, who is a normal meat eater, she reduces her meat now, and she's a bit fussy with like the processed food, so like the burgers and the hot dogs and stuff like that. So we just were sitting one night chatting, and the idea for Not Dogs came about. And that's when we sent an email to info@quorn.co.uk, and it's a random email we could find for Quorn, who is the UK's biggest supplier of meat-free food, which I, as a vegetarian, loved. And it was about 1:30 one morning, we sent this email saying, we've got an idea for this, what do you think? And the next day they emailed back saying, we want a meeting with you, this sounds amazing. So we were like, oh God. So like a few days later, we were in like the massive headquarters of Quorn, talking through our idea, which we'd literally had a few days before. We decided to do it on a smaller scale by going to music festivals and things before we launched it a bit bigger into more of a restaurant. We didn't know where the business was going to go. and we sort of wanted to get it out there, our ideas and our recipes out there to the public to see what they thought. And in our first season we did about 6 festivals, and we went for the big ones like Lovebox in London, BBC Radio 1's Big Weekend and things like that to really test the market. And the response was fantastic, and at that point we were like, well, we can't stop now, basically. So the business kind of made us drive forward. It wasn't us going, we want to do this particularly, it just sort of ran away with us. And then we did another festival season, and then we were invited to a pop-up under the Shard in London. And again, I'm a sucker for any opportunity. I won't say no to anything, basically. So we did that for 3 months, and that really gave us a taste for the restaurant business. So then we started hunting for our first restaurant location, which has obviously led us to opening in our home city of the Bullring. So that's it.
Very different to you. I think with hindsight, I think there's a lot of sites where we wish we'd tested it a little bit more. We went straight in basically. So when we were looking at what to do and how we wanted to open and what we wanted to open, consistently going to London, looking at what was going on over there, always meeting in coffee shops, talking about what the next idea was going to be, realising that we were always in London and there was nowhere in Birmingham. I myself am Birmingham born and bred, and my business partner's from there as well, so we realised that actually Birmingham had a real lack of good quality high-end coffee shops, particularly with the 4th wave going on. So we kind of just decided we'd go for it. It was quite a quick establishment from sort of talking about it in January to opening in August. So we kind of didn't test the market as such and went straight in. We chose business districts because that made sense to us. There was good footfall. We wanted business people. We knew they had money. That we figured it would be straightforward. It did come with a higher rent price, but we accepted that that's what you get with a high footfall. So we went for it, and that's kind of that just kind of spiraled very quickly. We from week 1 to week 6, I think it was, we were hitting our targets. So that for us really showed that we had the right location for that. So that was a kind of a lucky one, I guess. So not much you can learn from that, but I guess luck does play a part with any entrepreneur, I guess. But I think that for us was originally there was just a niche in the market for Birmingham, really.
Okay, and I think you've already sort of spoken a bit about this, but when you first started out, did you know exactly who your target customer was going to be, and sort of how did you get your first customers on board?
So I think at the outset we knew our target market. It's quite a niche but not niche product, in the sense that its primary target were individuals who have dietary restrictions and who struggle to eat when out and about. So again, back to my sister, when she was in the corporate world, she'd be in her car a lot of the time, driving around, and often coming back home late in the evening and not having eaten anything throughout the day. So it was, I guess, a combination of both individuals with dietary requirements but who are out and about and actually need to grab something on the go, and there being quite limited options. So yeah, individuals who have got sort of nut allergies and things like that, but also people on the go. And I guess just going back to the point about the motivation behind the business, obviously I've touched on the fact that, my sister and other individuals who miss out on great tasting food, and, just eliminating, I guess, an ingredient doesn't mean that you have to sort of be excluded from the eating experience. But also from a very young age, I kind of always knew that I wanted to start my own business. I didn't know exactly what at that point, but I always sort of had that kind of entrepreneurial mindset, I guess, and I always knew that at some point in my life I want to start up a business. So yeah, I think that sort of answered that question.
So our target customer initially was kind of me. So as a vegetarian, there was nothing that was all meat free at any of the UK festivals. We'd always be the only one there. And then it kind of developed, because our products are so meaty, so we've always gone after those sort of products, not your traditional veggie, vegan food. That's the opposite of where we want to be. It quickly became apparent that actually meat eaters really enjoyed Knock Dogs too, as a cleaner fast food option and somewhere where they could enjoy food with their vegetarian or vegan friends. So our target market initially started quite niche, but has actually expanded quite significantly without us expecting it to, really. But I suppose that's developed with the rise of the meat-free market, with the rise in vegans and vegetarians. So we've kind of risen with that, which is good for us.
And so 2 of you have premises now. So can you talk about how that process was? How did you find your first coffee shop and your first restaurant? And what were some of the challenges and sort of things to consider, I guess, for anyone who's thinking about doing that?
I don't know about you, but landlords, biggest challenge. we've had some fun with landlords over the years, actually. I think so. Yeah, Church Street. I think that came at a time when, you know, the high street was pretty poor in Birmingham. There were very few independents, no independent cafes that were doing high-end coffee at all. So the landlords were at that point very excited about this kind of offering. So we again, as I say, we kind of struck a lucky deal. As the years went on and when we wanted to grow more, the high street was getting better. You know, we were out of recession, it was starting to happen, and that's when it became more of a challenge because we'd taken it for granted how easy we got the first one, I guess. That and actually just running a building, running consistent staff, that's always going to be a big challenge, and I guess that's probably one of the talking points coming up. But I think for us, the ensuring we understood everything from the health and safety side of things to licensing to, you know, looking both for alcohol licensing but also food licenses, extraction. That's all right. That's one. Yeah, that's one for you. Just understanding kind of the different things and the physical side of it as well, actually, in terms of getting hands-on, getting stuck in. These are all things that by having the bricks and mortar, I think it becomes a lot more, there's a lot more liability to it, I guess, and the paperwork around that, I guess.
I would totally agree with all of the points. But also we knew we wanted to be in Birmingham, one because it's our hometown, but two just because we felt like the food scene here and people are quite open to trying new things, so we thought Not Dogs would work pretty well. And we also, as you said, kind of we looked at the high street in Birmingham, but in 2016 knew that we couldn't be on the high street and we wouldn't survive, so we had to kind of take a gamble and go for bigger rents within a bigger landlord, which is Hammerson, who own the Bullring, with so many legal hoops to jump through with Hammerson, like it's ridiculous. And we kind of wanted a unit in the Bullring, but it was £200,000 upwards a year rent, which we just couldn't afford, and we didn't want to risk our whole business on that. So luckily, at the time of searching, there was a space called Link Street, which was the Link Bridge that they were just renovating. So it came at the perfect time when they were looking for newer startups to get in there. So we went for kind of an interview with Hammerson down in London and pitched our idea to them. And thankfully, they really liked it. And I don't think they expected it, but we drove a really hard deal. And now people are like, how did you get in for that? And we're like, we've no idea, we did it. And so we've got a very short lease with them too, which was another point where we didn't want to take on 35-year is the average lease, and we didn't want to take in like that. So we've gone for a 3-year lease. So that's what I'd say as well. With the lease, don't get a long one if possible, because unfortunately it's just never know with bricks and mortar what's going to happen, do you really? No.
And Rena, you've been looking at kitchens to work out of as well.
Yeah, so we started off producing from our home kitchen when I graduated from Aston, and then since then we're now renting a unit which is not in the West Midlands, but it was an environment that meant that our product could be in a safe environment, which so for our product, the credibility to the customer that actually it is nut free and we can guarantee that, and it is sort of dairy free and vegan friendly, so that's really important. So for us, we couldn't just go and manufacture in the same sort of production facility as another brand who might actually use some of those products, because whilst there were companies out there who didn't use all of the allergens, they still used some of them, and we just couldn't take that risk. So we have a unit which is further up north, but we're looking to sort of rent out something closer to home. But yeah, I think echo what these guys have said. I think even with a production facility, so we're a manufacturer, I guess, rather than an actual restaurant or high street chain, but it's just the paperwork, the getting the accreditations to produce your products, showing all of the different documentation, getting your premises, I guess on the sort of everything, getting everything lined up. It's just such a long process, and I think paperwork has definitely been one of the challenges for us as well. So yeah, echo what these guys have said so far.
And what about sort of marketing and in those early days, how did you convince people to come to you or to buy your food? And are there any sort of tips or techniques, anything you kind of did that worked really well in the early days?
We do all our marketing still on social media, so we don't pay for any advertising or anything like that. Again, being a startup, it's a low cost way of doing it, and with our brand and our target market, it kind of fits, and we can be cheeky and a bit naughty online, so we like that we can do that on social media. Initially, again, it was all social media, and we came up with kind of fun things like #SausageSelfie, and we did that from day one so that people would take a selfie of them with a not dog, and then we could see them online after and build our following that way and retweeting with stuff like that. So that still happens now, which is great, and we've got so much interaction through that hashtag, so thinking of things different is quite good. And yeah, so social media has been massive for us. And we still use that now, only social media.
Funnily enough, so again, when we started, because it was 2009, so Twitter, Instagram, all of that, very, very new. I don't even know if Instagram was actually around then. We just got on Twitter, I think, and we were on Facebook, but it was a very different sort of, tool basically for anyone. So we could really utilise that well, and actually Church Street, because it was a business district, it was very much a Monday to Friday operation, very few people around on the weekends. So we used social media and tweeted to sort of try and get tourists and things like that come over to us, and just sort of anything from like just saying a secret word to get a free drink, or, just taking a photo of them and telling them where they were or whatever. So we tried little things like that. I think we had a few years, and I think that's because we had more premises to worry about. The marketing side did fall away a little bit, so we've kind of started working on that again. But as you say, like in terms of with the startup, we never had a marketing budget at all. We didn't spend any money. We spent very little money on everything, even our, actual physical signage and stuff like that. Menus were all printed in house, and it's actually nice now that we've grown. We can actually afford to have that like professionally designed and stuff. So I guess you having a marketing background is quite a handy one, but me not so much. So, so that's kind of taken us a long time to grow that, and actually marketing is a big part of what we're focusing on now. We've made some money, so it's kind of happened in reverse for us, if you like. And I guess that again has been lucky from what premises we've actually chosen to still have the footfall. That's meant we've got away with maybe less marketing than others might need. So, yeah.
I think with us as well, we haven't sort of spent, we haven't had a budget for marketing either. Only things like the food festivals, which we've done to kind of gain visibility and market test our product, which by the way is very important, which I'm sure we'll come on to. So through our going up and down the country doing food festivals, that's one of the ways that we've that's acted as marketing, I guess, as well as testing our product, but also social media. So Instagram's been really useful for us. There've been a lot of lifestyle bloggers who've seen us at food festival and events. People like, I'm not sure if any of you follow people like Gluten Free Alice. There's people who are sort of vegan bloggers who have thousands and thousands of followers, and it's a really, really useful way to kind of tap into your target market, because these individuals are really influential in the space, and if they take a picture of your product and write a good review about it, it's free, but it's also getting your product seen by the people who you want it to be seen by. So for us, that's been really useful. We've had a number of bloggers blog about us, and by the way, larger companies do actually pay these bloggers to review products for them and things like that. So I think in that sense, really sort of leverage the resources that you have whilst you're starting out, because I think you might not always realise, but there's things out there that you can tap into with just a limited budget. I think in addition to that, our product, because it ticks so many different boxes for various individuals, so it's authentic Indian, which, you know, in the free from marketplace is, whilst it's expanding, there aren't many sort of Indian products out there, but also it does tick the boxes of if you're vegan, you can eat it, if you're vegetarian, you can eat it, if you are dairy free, nut free, and those kind of things. So because it does tick those boxes, it's quite a unique product, and the pastry that we use in our products is our IP. So there's nobody else in the marketplace who has that flour blend, if you like, and I'm not sure if you know much about sort of gluten-free flours, but they are quite difficult to work with. So yeah, there's various sort of things that contribute to it, but I would just say leverage your resources, and social media, particularly Instagram's really been helpful for us.
Can I just say as well, because and actually that's a really good point, because having a quality product that you really believe in, the word of mouthing is always going to be the most powerful, and you know they're the people at your door that are going to be talking to their friends that are also at your door, and I think having that side of things, I think that's always going to be the most powerful marketing tool really that you can rely on, because if you're there and you and the staff and the people that you work with, if they all believe in it, then the people that they know are going to believe in it, and so on and so forth. So I think that is a huge point as well. So, yeah.
Rena, you mentioned testing your product with the market early on. So I guess you all kind of started with an idea of what your product was going to be. How did you sort of find out if it was something that people really wanted?
I think for us, so it's actually quite funny because initially we didn't start out with just with just samosas. We had a few different products that we tried, different types of sort of innovative versions of your Asian sort of cuisine, so different types of snacks. And I remember at our very first, so it was our the largest show that we could have gone to, which was our first show, which we actually went to in Glasgow. So they do one in Glasgow and one in London, but we went to the one in Glasgow because we thought if we trial this one first, then at least if we stuff up a bit, we're kind of a little bit further away from home, so we won't look too silly. So when we went to that show, I said to my sister Geeta, as I mentioned, working with free from flours is a real challenge, and this isn't the product that we started out with in terms of both the actual samosa wasn't the actual samosa that we started out with, and it's changed along the way. So that wasn't the samosa that we started out with, it's changed massively. But when we started out with that product, I remember it was an absolute nightmare to produce. And at the beginning we were making it from home, producing it by hand ourselves. And at that largest show, I turned around and I said to my sister Geeta, I said, God, Gee, I'm never making a samosa ever again in my life. We're just not doing this. We're not doing samosas because I can't. It's just too much hard work, and it's not going to be good for us. So we go to this show and we take our samosas, we take all our other fancy snacks and everything, and then what sold out? The samosas. They just flew, literally. They just went like hotcakes. And I just thought, oh my God, I don't want to listen to the market. And then we went down the route and we thought, well, we have to make this work because this is what people want. This is the product they want, and we need to keep innovating this product and make it work, because you have to listen to your market. You have to listen to your market research, because we could have chosen to ignore that and I could have never have made a samosa again, but then we may not have gotten to where we are now. So I think it's really important to listen to what your customers want. Something that's been really helpful for us is going to the food festivals, which you've probably found yourself as well, because not only is it getting your brand out there, but you're interacting with your target audience. You're finding out what they like, what they dislike. You get to speak to them on a personal level, and you're not going to get that level of insight. Well, you might on social media, but it's sort of requires a lot more time. Whereas if you go to these food festivals, you can get that market research, the feedback, you can try different flavours out and you get it instantly. And people really appreciate that as well. So people know me on a name basis when I go to different shows. I'm going to a show in a couple of weeks, which I went to last year. And the public who come there, it's really nice because you know that person, even though they're someone from London, for example, and you go again the next year and you're like, oh, I remember you from last year. So it's really nice to have that connection with your audience, and I think that's really important. So yeah, definitely test your product from the start.
With the festivals, how hard is it to get a stall at a festival, and if someone's just starting out, how should they go about it? Is it difficult?
It's for music festivals, we just kind of assumed we'd just apply and get in and turn up and it'll be fine. And it was really, really hard, and surprisingly for us, really expensive. So we didn't expect it to be so expensive. So we had to go for smaller pitches, which actually worked out fine for us in the end. But it is actually really hard, and you have to do your research and make sure that we made sure we only went to festivals that would have 20,000 people or more going, because we knew our sales depended on the amount of footfall, kind of what you said earlier. So if a festival had 2,000 people, well, we take 12% of that market. We're not going to make our money back on the thousands of pounds you're spending on your pitch. So actually there are a lot of things to think about when applying for festivals. We haven't really done foodie events because we kind of wanted to market test the mainstream. That was our route that we wanted to do. That's who we wanted to test. So I assume food festivals are a bit smaller, well, some of them.
So there's two different, I think firstly, understanding what you're going to the festival for is what I would say first. So for different festivals, for example, some festivals, they're actually loss making for us. We don't make any money. It's hard graft for a weekend. You don't make any money, but it's what do you get out of it? And sometimes you're not always after, making the sales. Sometimes it's, like I said, the market testing. It might be the market research. There's different reasons why you'd want to go to different shows, and I think understanding why you want to go to that show first is what I would do. So we've thought quite strategically, similar to yourself. So there's the largest sort of show that happens once a year, the Allergy and Freeform show in London. That's more of a marketing exercise, getting your name out there, your brand out there, talking to your customers and getting that market research. So that's quite cost intensive. There was a lot of paperwork that you have to make sure that you sort of fill through. So lots of risk assessments. So, be prepared to fill those out. Make sure you've got the right insurance cover, which is important, because these sort of exhibitions want you to send them, they want to know that you've got public liability insurance, product liability, so that if anything happens, they're covered, you're covered, and those sorts of things. So that's for the larger shows, which are quite actually cost intensive as well. But again, it's knowing at the outset what you're going for, and you're not always going to get it right, so that's another thing, but you won't know until you go to the festival as well. So that's sort of the larger exhibitions, and then the smaller ones, so we do things like the Foodies Festival, we do Freeform Festival in London as well, so different sort of festivals that are tailored to our audience, and those ones are quite easy, I guess, to get into, but again, you still have to show the similar sort of paperwork and things like that. But I think it all comes down to your product. If you show you've got passion for your product and you truly believe in it, I think that comes across. People can hear your excitement and your passion for your product, and then they'll be more willing to sort of take you on as a pitch as opposed to somebody else. So I think being passionate about your product and knowing what you're going to that particular show for, and then being quite strategic about that. So yeah, I think that's what I would say.
And have any of you had any external funding to start up your businesses?
Yeah, we have. So we initially, after our food truck was all self-funded, so it was through our marketing business that we had before and our own personal money. But then we went on Dragon's Den and to ask for money, and that was amazing, but really not the scariest thing I've done, but it was really scary. And unfortunately, we didn't get the investment on that. But they loved the product, so it was a really positive pitch, thank God. But 5 days after we opened, we managed to open with self-funding, so family helped us out and things like that, and kind of like you said, on a complete shoestring in the Bullring. But 5 days after opening, we actually took on investors, so we've got an investor in London who's actually really helpful with the business too. So he not only offered money, but also his knowledge. So he's a shareholder now in the business, which was something, we toyed with. We didn't really want to release any equity for our business because it was our baby, and, we love it so much. And who is this man coming, but actually it's worked out really well. We just did our research with this and what he'd done in the past. So that's worked really well, and we're currently fundraising again in order to expand, because our aim is to get in all of the major UK cities. So that's kind of, we need the funding for that. So investment, we had to get investment basically.
For us, we haven't had any funding from anyone external. It's all been myself and my business partner, who's my sister. So we've self-funded, but we have had sort of grants and small things along the way. So for example, when I finished at Aston, I joined the BCN programme, and we got a couple of £100 of funding with that. I think it was £500. And then ever since then, we've things like competitions or entering different things, different awards where you get money, it's always helpful because, as these guys said, you are literally running on a shoestring. So not yet, but we've not had any external investment yet, but that might be something that we look to in the future perhaps. It really just sort of depends on what you need, I guess. So for yourself, you needed that premises and you needed the investment. So ourselves, we haven't had any, but I guess it just depends on what you're looking to do for your business, and I guess that will kind of dictate that for you.
I guess it's how quickly you want the return as well, in terms of, for us, we take dividends out and we're quite happy with that. It's profitable each month, so we get that and we don't have to worry about owing someone, but it does mean our expansion plans are now much more limited, but at the same time it means that at any point, if we wanted to get investment, if we've got just a few that are profitable, we might get a stronger one. It gives us a few more options, but that's because our long-term plan is actually not that long-term. It's kind of 5 years, whereas if this was a 10 or 15-year thing, having that debt wouldn't matter to us short-term, because it would just mean we could expand quicker. So it's, again, what your long-term plan is, I think, as well, in terms of selling or not.
Well, I've got lots of other questions, but I think now would be a good time to see if you guys have any questions. Straight away.
Where you said that you have an investor who invested, where would you even find somebody like that?
Well, the investor that we've got was actually a competition with a company called the Startup Series. So that's a really good website. They've got a lot of information on there, and they're a really helpful team as well. They'll answer questions so that they run, I think they still run it actually, a competition every month, and they'll actually invest up to £150,000 in your business, and obviously you can negotiate terms and how much percentage you're willing to give away. And so we actually won the first round of their competition, their monthly competition. So it was through that we did that. But there are lots of online, there's so much information to help small businesses raise investment as well.
You mentioned, so you started out testing your market in the festivals, but then now you have actually a restaurant. Is the same target, or you kind of moved on a bit opening a restaurant? How did that change?
At the festivals, it was millennials, obviously, that we were hitting and that we were getting fantastic feedback on, and also on social media, they were the market we were listening, and they were following us. And so we kind of knew in Birmingham, obviously you guys and the student population, we knew that we'd be okay and there would be enough millennials for us to get hold of in the Bullring. But since then, we've actually got a lot of families coming to Not Dogs too, and young professionals. So our target market has changed. So we've had to adapt with that. So we've got a puppy dog now for smaller tummies, and we have meal deals as well. So we've had to adapt with our target market. But like you said, I think it's actually being hands-on in your place that actually you can get that feedback and listen to what your customers want, so you can sort of adapt with your target market.
And then I think I saw that your restaurant is listed on Too Good To Go app.
Yes.
So do you have to pay in order to be featured on the app, or how did they accept you?
Yeah, so we're on Too Good To Go, which is a company that takes any food at the end of the day that might be thrown away, and they will offer it to customers like you via the app at a lower cost. We actually also collaborate with Let's Feed Brum. So we only offer a limited amount of meals per night with Too Good To Go, because we don't want to miss out on the charity work with Let's Feed Brum, which gives food to homeless people at the end of the night. So these companies, along with Deliveroo, Uber Eats and Just Eat, we're on all of them, they'll take a percentage of your revenue, which you can negotiate, but it's around 30%.
Can you really sustain by selling only vegetarian and vegan food?
We have had this question before, and we have had people saying to, like investors and business people saying to us, but you should sell meat as well. And our thing is that we are completely meat free, and our customers can trust that there's been no meat in Not Dogs at any point, and that was from day one. And being a vegetarian, and I'm not a fussy vegetarian or anything, but that kind of helped me, and we'd get people running up to us screaming at the truck going and they were just so happy that there was no meat. So it's something we're very strong on, that we will never offer meat as Not Dogs. We might set up we won't set up another brand. Actually, no, I'm not doing that. So no, but initially, I mean, in 2014, we only offered vegetarian products. We didn't have vegan products because there wasn't the demand for them. So obviously we've grown with that. And I think that luckily we got that trend early, and we're growing with the trend. Potentially if that trend wasn't there, then it totally wouldn't be sustainable for us to only be meat free. But the difference with Not Dogs is that we don't target vegetarians and vegans only. We don't want to be like, PC vegan, that type. We want to be commercial and open to everyone, to meat eaters too. There's nothing I love more than someone coming into Not Dogs and saying, oh, well, I'm going to have the Queen Bee burger. I haven't been to McDonald's this week. I've come here instead. And that is amazing for me to hear that. Not only because it's for their health, but we're saving animals, which is big for me. And also, obviously, the environmental issues too with meat. So we'll keep powering on, and hopefully it won't change.
Well, it's interesting that you two both have that angle, but Anna, you as well do focus on having lots of different options and
like Jane said, I think we originally, we were all meat eaters that worked in their own day, and there wasn't that big movement again because it was quite a long time ago. And as the market's changed, we have massively had to adapt. And also, my sister became vegan, so that just raised my consciousness as well. And I watched Cowspiracy, that suddenly, you start thinking, right, I need to start doing some things. So, originally I think we didn't even have soy milk as an option. Within about 6 months, that became it. We've now got soy, oat, almond and coconut, so I think we sell almost the same amount of those 4 milks together as we do the dairy, so it is a massive, and that's 30p more each time as well, so it's amazing that, and we actually make less money on it, but it actually shows the demand's there. We also we're actually just costing up doing Veganuary, so we're going to have a deal on for vegans over January, and we are very conscious that is the way things are going. So I think realistically, it's a very sustainable business going that way. So don't do me.
Do you think vegan market is currently increasing?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know the stats, but it is maybe something ridiculous, 800%. Someone please tell me if I know, but it's something ridiculous. There you go, 800's a bit, optimistic. 360%. So yes, it absolutely is, and it's. I think the increase is actually with flexitarians. So it's people that are reducing their meat sort of once a week even, which is my business partner Katie, her eating habits. So I think it's those people that are making this rise, and sort of meat eaters and buying the dairy-free milks and things just out of choice for various reasons, I think.
Hi, can I ask you a question? Yes, go for it. Basically, I have a blog, a food blog, and I've been asked to give people food and whatever in exchange for money. But how would I make that legal? What would I need to do? Would I need insurance, or what would I need?
They give you products to review?
No, I cook and I put it on my food blog, my own food, and people are contacting me for the food. So how would I make it legal in exchange for money?
Sort of a business that you would want to do, so you would make the food and then sell it to people. You'd need to contact your local authorities. So if it's Birmingham, then Birmingham City Council. They would need to come and audit your premises. So if you're cooking from home, they'll need to come and check your home environment, make sure that it's, you know, they'll give you a rating, whether it's your home or a different premises, they'll give you a rating. They'll let you know what you need to do. So for example, when you're cooking food, there's certain temperature zones that you have to make sure your food stays within or outside of. So there's a danger zone. So you know, there's so many different things you need to be mindful of. But they'll go through that with you and explain to you what you need to do. And you'll have to fill in there's something called a HACCP, which is basically food safety and preparation document, which you need to make sure that you complete. And yeah, things like getting insurance and making sure you've got public liability. So I mean, I can speak to you more afterwards if you like, but yeah, I'd definitely get in touch with your local council.
The EHO website would be helpful as well. They'll give you the list of the paperwork. EHO, the Environmental Health Office.
There's also a website, a company called NCAS, and that's the National Association of Caterers, and they provide you with everything. It's not very expensive, so they'll get your HACCP and your insurances and everything like that for you. So they'll do all for you. It's quite good.
It's a cheap way.
Yep.
So, I don't have any qualifications in like cooking or anything like that. Do I need anything like that? All I know is how to cook, but not a qualification.
I don't have, I don't have any sort of, you know, I'm no sort of chef or anything like that. I just love food, and I've always loved food. But you do need to make sure you get things like you said, your food hygiene. I've done level 3 in catering and food. And supervising individuals, so that if I take on any stuff, so I can produce the product myself, but if I were to take on anybody, then I can sort of supervise them, but they would still need to have their basic hygiene qualifications as well. So.
That's all available on NCAS, and you do it online.
Okay, thank you.
I know it depends on the food business, but what is the minimum amount of money you need to start?
I think it depends if you're going down bricks and mortar or if you're going to do festivals. And I think the important thing is to know how much it's going to cost you in the first place. Think about what your product is and how much you're going to sell it for, and then think realistically how many you're going to sell. I think when it's come to new premises, we could look at the rent and say it's 50 grand or whatever, and we could decide, oh yeah, we can make X amount. It is all a guessing game. You're still relying on. You can do as much preparation as possible, so look at footfall, look at all that, which we've done in the past, but actually it could still just not go your way, or it could go much better than you expected. So I think it's looking at that business plan, everything from what your costs are to how much you realistically think you can sell. And by that I mean how much it's going to be selling for, so your average transaction value, to how many customers you're actually going to get through the door or past your premises, or whatever the thing is. So.
Question for Jane. Did you find a fake meat supplier, or did you make your own recipe?
We pick all our favourite meat suppliers, so we make all our toppings in-house, and Katie and I developed them with no experience like you. They're just kind of flavours that we liked and we put together, but the actual meat sauce, so like the hot dogs or the burgers or the nuggets, they're sourced from various meat suppliers. So we started off with Quorn to test at the festivals, and now we've expanded. We've got Linda McCartney, V-Bites. We import some from Germany because they're the best vegan dogs, so a lot. So a bit of both.
Could you please touch on the number of staff you guys had at the beginning and where it has reached now, and maybe some challenges? Because obviously, your clientele has risen, yeah? So, could you maybe just touch on that?
Staff is the biggest challenge for me. My God, and I didn't expect it to be. We obviously started in our food truck, just the two of us, so it was very different. And then when we launched our restaurant, we launched with about 8 staff. Now that's risen to 15 staff. At all different levels as well. So obviously we were the managers first, and now we're expanding. We've had to bring in managers, which comes with even more cost, and the training behind that and things like that. And the recruitment is hard as well, really hard. And then down at Chessington, that's increased our staff force to about 25 now. And you know, it's basically getting the training down right, I think is the main thing for us. And I think having a personal connection with each staff member as well, so that they understand what we want to do with Not Dogs and where we want to be and why we're doing it. I feel like that's key in getting in staff and retaining staff as well.
Yeah, staff retention in particular is quite a strong one, because obviously it's all good and well, and I think the hospitality industry in particular isn't seen as a, you know, a real career prospect for a lot of people, and that drives me mad, because you know, my background, I went to uni, but I always worked in bars and restaurants, and then ended up deciding this is what I wanted to do. So yeah, I was on site for Church Street as a manager to begin with. There was 6 of us, and then as we expanded, I had to move away, which was the hardest thing. And I think hopefully all of you will learn that as you grow and you become bigger, working on the business rather than in the business is like the hardest thing to do, because you'll miss working with customers. There's a reason why you're in this industry, but or want to be in this industry, but realising that when to take a step back in order to expand the business has been a big deal. But actually, yeah, I think we're on 32 members of staff now. At our height, we had 59, and that was an unbelievable challenge, and something that I wasn't prepared for at the time. I think now we're looking to expand. I've spent the last couple of years getting structures in place, HR processes, reviews, training programs, all of that has now meant that, touch wood, it should be a doddle when we come to open the next one again, because I kind of feel so much more prepared. But going from, yeah, we had 2 and then we opened 3 up in 8 months. And so we went from about 18 members of staff to 59 in 8 months, and that just threw up, you know, I started having people turn up drunk, you know, like there was every kind of problem under the sun. So that was a very massive learning curve, in fact, but something, if you do it right from day one, would save a lot of hassle. So spending that time to look at how you're going to train people, how you're going to hire them, how you're going to keep them, you know, everything like that, how you're going to reward them, keeping them loyal to you, and understanding your business plans as you grow. I think they're really, really key things.
And actually all of you have a kind of business partner as well, don't you? So you didn't just start up by yourselves, you've both kind of got, you've all got someone else who has different skills and background to you, I imagine. So yeah, do you all think that was kind of key, really?
I think so. I think for myself, my business partner is actually my sister as well, which adds a whole new dimension to the business. As you can imagine, it's not always sort of plain sailing. But I think it's important to have a business partner who, if you are looking for a business partner, somebody who you trust, and you kind of have that mutual respect for each other, and you have also the skill set. So identify who is better at what area of the business, who's got previous experience, and then divvy out the responsibilities in that way. There are naturally going to be things that neither of you are sort of experts in, or neither of you particularly love doing, but you just have to be mature about it, I guess, and split it up in that way. I think it's really helpful to have another individual in the business with you, because you're kind of going through it together, whereas a lot of sort of fellow entrepreneurs and friends are in it alone, which is, you know, hugely rewarding for them, and you know, it's their baby as well, I guess. But I think they can, you know, they've said to me in the past that there are times when you feel a little bit alone. So I think in that sense I'm quite lucky to have somebody to lean on, and when there's days when you're not sort of on your A game, there's somebody there to say, come on, you know, we can do this, and then they kind of lift you a little bit, because there are going to be days when, you know, you're feeling a little bit, you know, something's not gone as you had hoped, or, you know, you didn't win that sort of pitch, or you didn't, you know, there's always going to be something, and I think it's really nice to have somebody there who's supporting you. And then in hindsight, when you look back on it, you realise everything, well, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So even if there are challenges in your business and things don't always go your way, eventually when you look back, at the time it might not feel that way, but when you look back you'll realise that it all sort of happened for a reason. So I think, yeah, if you've got somebody who you trust and think, you know, you work well together, then I think that's definitely a good route to go down.
So just a question for Jane and Hannah, 2 questions, that's okay. So for Jane specifically, was it a conscious choice or a beneficial choice for especially your graphic design with your logo, and your kind of design especially, not to be overwhelmingly vegan or overwhelmingly like green or typically kind of vegan? Was it kind of beneficial for you to like for customers to walk in and like be surprised that it was actually meat free?
Absolutely,
Yeah, and just for Hannah, obviously I think your Urban's quite a contributor to independent Birmingham. Do you see independence increasing in Birmingham as well? Where do you see it in a positive?
Yeah, massively. I think because the high street, you know, we talk about the high street dying, and you know, stats are saying that it looks like it's really bleak out there, but actually the amount of independents opening, it just means that the quality is getting better. I think the competition is really important. I think it keeps everyone on their A game. And I think it just makes each city more memorable, more diverse. It makes, you know, like if you go to Birmingham and you want to go to Original Patty Men for an incredible burger, that's where you go, you know, and obviously Urban for an incredible coffee, and obviously for a vegan hot dog and samosas. But yeah, and I think it's kind of giving cities their own identity again. So I think that's going to be the way it keeps going, to be honest, because I think people are, you know, Amazon can sell anything you want, like that you can get on the high street anyway. So that's where you get the experience and the individual feeling, I think, and that's why that's why I've always championed independence anyway. So.
Just wanted to ask to all three, what was your greatest difficulty starting out?
I think ours was actually opening the doors in Birmingham. So it took maybe about a year to get all our lease come through and everything like that, which was like all the paperwork, you know, a nightmare. And then we must have set about 3 launch dates, and we were too scared to open the door in case no one came or anything like that. So I think that was the biggest difficulty, was literally kind of like letting go of your fears and just going for it. And in the end, we were still debating whether, we knew once we opened before Christmas, but we were still debating whether we should open the doors, and we were just like, let's just bloody open. So we opened really quietly, and we didn't tell many people, and then thankfully, like, people came in. So I think that initially at the start was a big difficulty, was kind of not striving for perfection all the time. Since becoming an entrepreneur, I'm a Virgo, and I'm really a perfectionist. And I've had to learn that basically nothing will be perfect, and sometimes you've just got to go for it. So that's really hard. It was really, really hard.
Yeah, I think, yeah, trusting that you can open, not having the place entirely perfect, and learn and, you know, communicate with customers. They understand if you're just opened up. You don't have to be perfect at that point, but you have to be striving for it. And if they can see that, then they'll believe in it. But yeah, I mean, literally the day before we opened, we had a beautiful Brass Eagle coffee machine. So it's stunning. Literally the day before, I went to train all the staff how to use it. Sprung a leak, completely like waterlogged inside. Couldn't use it. Was dead. So had to send a friend to go. I think it was to Stafford or somewhere to go. We literally found a coffee machine that was selling on eBay to go and buy a coffee machine from someone, pick it up, get it plumbed in, and set up within less than. Like, I think it was like about 4 hours we managed to turn that around. So yeah, the physical side of opening is probably like the biggest challenge in itself, but yeah, the consistent challenge is the staffing, I would say, and keeping staff happy.
I think for us, my challenge, I think I don't have any, prior to Green Sisters, I haven't had any sort of food industry experience, other than obviously being a food lover myself, and going and trying food everywhere else. But actually producing food, manufacturing, learning the manufacturing regulations, all of that was completely new to me. So I think at the outset I didn't really know what I didn't know, and then we kind of found things out as we stumbled along. So I think that was the biggest sort of challenge for me, an eye-opener. So I think if you can get a food industry, if you're looking to go into food industry mentor, or whichever area of business that you're perhaps struggling with, or it's not your expertise, then I would definitely try and find somebody who is willing to mentor you in that way, or sit on your board as a non-executive director or something like that, because I think that will help to ease some of the initial challenges that you might have.
This is kind of for all of you, but do you think it's important to start off with one specific type of product, or should you like go into it? Because I know you have a coffee shop, they obviously have like a variety. Do you think it should be one specific product, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the business. Obviously, if you're going to be famous for your samosas, then I guess that's the star product, if you like. And I guess, and the same with hot dogs. And I think for us, like, coffee is the star product, and that's kind of what we sort of have always championed. But as the market's diversified, and actually, I don't think I answered the question earlier in terms of how we've changed our offering, because I think originally in our head, because having looked at what was in London and the beautiful coffee shops with their V60 filters, and they would literally have like 20 filters on at one time because there was such a demand for this beautiful single estate coffee. So that was what it was going to be in our head. It was just going to be coffee. We literally just had coffee and pastries. We had nothing else. I think within 2 days, the amount of people we saw just walk out because we didn't do sandwiches or we didn't do lattes, it kind of, or we weren't, it wasn't obvious we were doing lattes. So it kind of very quickly changed, and we actually went the complete opposite way then. And then we tried ice cream, we tried crepes, I think at one point. We suddenly added loads. We had 10 different syrups, and it kind of then went the complete. And then we thought, right, we've gone the other way now. We went from really niche to just listening to every single customer that said, can you do this? Can you do this? And going, yeah, all right, and just trying everything, realising that neither was sustainable. So we had to work out what the medium was, and that's when investing in a good till system came in. So after we made a bit of money, we actually went from a big giant calculator practically to having something that could tell us what our best sellers were, tell us what was actually going on, because it's all good and well having one customer saying, please do pumpkin spice syrup or whatever, but I'm not getting a whole bottle in for one customer when actually, it kind of ruined the credibility of our coffee. So that for me was like a big learning curve in itself. So I think for me, having that star product or USP is important, but it's not to say that you have to stick to just one. And I think, having more options allows for more people to use your place, basically.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. So we don't just do the samosas. So as our vegan range of authentic Indian foods includes things like bhajis. So we do different flavours as well. So we do red onion and butternut bhajis. So there's still quite innovative variants, and they're still free from up to 14 of the allergens and vegan friendly and what have you. But I don't think so. Whilst we champion the samosas because that's the thing that people love and miss out on from the particular diets that they follow, we sell things like bhajis, chutneys, so we haven't limited ourselves, but we did start out with the samosas and we made sure we got that right before we started looking at other areas. But I think it does help because I think consumers like variety as well, perhaps not too much so that we don't go to the extreme like you mentioned about doing absolutely everything, because there have been times when we've done that and we've thought, no, we need to focus a bit more. But I think having a variety is, for us anyway, it's been beneficial.
I've seen hot dogs on Deliveroo, and did it reach for you, or that's where you start your business?
We actually, I think they came to us to ask us if we'd like to be on Deliveroo, and then very quickly after that, Just Eats came, and then not so long after that, Just Eat came. So it's like everyone, but yeah, they came to us, but we'd always had in the back of our mind that we'd like to do delivery because our aim is to get Not Dogs to as many people as possible. And we hate that Deliveroo only do a small, Birmingham city centre. We want it to everyone. So our idea was we'd do it ourselves, but logistically was going to be a nightmare. So that's why we went with Deliveroo and Uber Eats and Just Eat.
Did it do anything special for you in terms of marketing or advertisement rather than just put you on the application?
I think we had a photographer come in, which was fine, but it was their style of pictures. And unfortunately, annoyingly, they don't really do a lot for the smaller businesses. So you'll see when you go on Uber or Deliveroo, it's McDonald's is like your main page, and you kind of have to search for the smaller, the independents, which is really annoying. I mean, they do offer promotions and things like that, but either they come at a cost which is quite high, or again, we feature pretty low. But hopefully they'll make a change with that.
I've got a question for Rena. So from a manufacturing point of view, your product's quite low cost, so I presume you've got to make a lot. How do you cope with the production side of things?
To be honest, our product is quite, we've only just started scaling up quite fairly recently, so we're now about to go through the lovely process of staffing. So with our product, we need to start scaling and producing larger quantities in order for it to be kind of effective for us. But yeah, it's interesting. It's just, I guess, looking at your product, making sure you've got your finances sort of in order. Definitely, if you you're going down the manufacturing route. And also the difference with manufacturing as opposed to these guys is that we do sell direct to consumer via our website, but we also sell in independents and sort of retail stores as well. So it's making sure that you know what your margins need to be, so working out your financials. So you're going to produce it at this cost, and these are the costs of you manufacturing it. But then if you're selling it to a distributor who's then going to sell it on further, you need to make sure you've built in a margin for them and then a markup again for if you're going to a supermarket and they're selling it on to the consumer. So I think it's just finding out, like I said earlier, trying to get somebody like a food mentor who knows these sorts of things, because initially we weren't aware of, how much margin X independent takes or whatever. So I think just trying to find out as much information as early on to be able to then forecast as best as you possibly can that if I manufacture X many, whatever it is, samosas, it will cost me this much and my profit will be this much, and if I produce X, so then you start to see how many then you need to sell, and then it helps you sort of build your pipeline and work out what sales you need to make this year and things like that. So I hope did that answer your question.
Yeah, so do you never struggle with demand or anything?
Not at the moment, no. To be honest, we've kind of had the reverse challenge whereby the demand is sort of larger than we had been able to supply. So that hence the reason why now we're looking for production staff and looking to scale up. I think it is what you mentioned about, is veganism and vegetarian, is that marketplace sustainable? I really do believe it is, because like you mentioned with Not Dogs, whilst that is our target market, it's not our sole target market. So the things like, being sort of dairy-free, nut-free and all the rest of it, it opens us up, and we also want everyone to be able to share and enjoy this food. So for example, myself, I don't have any dietary sort of requirements per se, but my sister does, but we both enjoy eating the same product, and so it's a product that we hope the sort of mass market will enjoy, albeit it is obviously our primary target are those other individuals. So at the moment, no, we don't struggle with that demand. Yeah.
My question was for Rena. I was just looking at the flyer and it says that you provide delivery, like delivering samosas frozen.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what's your delivery model and how are you able to find people who deliver for you? I don't know if you do it yourself or you have.
So at the moment we do that so we use a courier service to deliver. To be honest, that was probably one of the main challenges with food, is the logistical side of things. So we use temperature controlled packaging to deliver our products, and so we send it via courier and they deliver, they sort of take that off our hands, if you like, and deliver anywhere UK mainland. But again, it's just making sure that you meet the health and safety requirements and the standards, and making sure that your food actually does arrive in a safe way and in a good condition. So if you did want to order, you'd just go to our website, which we're changing at the minute. It's what we started out with, but we're getting that built. But at the minute, you just go via our website, have a look at the items that you want, and then you just sort of fill out what you'd like, and then that will come to us, and then we obviously produce everything, and then our courier service deliver it to customers to do that.
Do you package do you provide your own temperature controlling packaging, or is it through the courier service?
We purchase it from a separate supplier, so it's not the courier service, it's a separate supplier, and then we package everything up and the courier just delivers it for us. But we sourced that temperature controlled packaging ourselves, so we do that on our end of things, yeah.
How do you sustain yourself, if you don't mind me asking, financially before the business gets to a point where it can support you? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs fail because they end up getting a job, do you know what I mean? Because their personal finances are all over the place, and so, yeah, just a question to you all about that.
You have to be prepared to have I had to be prepared, sorry, can't speak for you, to have a low wage and maybe have the support system in place around you to sustain that. But one of the thing that we've always tried to do when we started it, because obviously we had a lot of startup costs, is have 3 months worth of capital available to keep us going while we build up our fan base when we launched Birmingham. So we've worked on 3 months more would be ideal, but we couldn't get any more. That was our maximum. And that's what our financial advisors suggested, 3 months. So in that, we included a minimal salary for us, so that we knew, at least for the first 3 months while we were building up, that we'd get something, you know, be able to live. But obviously you do have to sort of, that is the main thing of, like, I think with entrepreneurship, you have to, it's not about the money as much as you think it is with Richard Branson and stuff like that, but it's actually the opposite. So you have to sort of take that hit for yourself, and hopefully in the long run you'll have a better life. But obviously you do need to take that risk. So it is, as long as you're aware of that and you're not going to think you're going to be a millionaire overnight, which initially I of course thought I was going to be, I think that's sort of, as long as you've got a plan.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I think if I'd have worked out how much my salary worked out hourly, it would have made me cry, so never did that. But yeah, it was preparing to always send the other staff home. Like, I stayed, like, you know, I'd do the lates and do the 7 days a week and all that, and it's the hard graft, but, like, you know, we are, like, I am in a much more comfortable position than I was now. Like, I'm actually only working about 50 hours a week. It's crazy. Like, I actually see weekends these days. It's really exciting. So it does start, and I can see it progressing. Like, you know, it's going to happen all over again when Solihull opens. You know, it'll keep, you know, but it's kind of allowing for those fun times in between. But actually, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, and you do just prepare. Like, I think you need to see what you can minimally take out of the business to survive, pay your rent and that. But actually, like, once you get over that's when you hopefully see the reaping the rewards and all that.
But just a little thing to wrap up is what's next for all of your businesses, I suppose. So where would you like to take it in the next few years? And if you could sort of leave all of these guys with one tip or one thing to kind of go away and consider, what would it be?
I think for me, I think community is becoming a big thing, and we're really sort of focusing our business on what more we can do for the community. So we've actually got 2 guys that used to be homeless that we're now employing, that we're actually working with Cypher Fireside, the homeless charity in Digbeth, to try and get them, well, we've started a programme with them to try and get other businesses on board, and I'm going to talk to you about this. So we've got an event on Monday night, I'm hoping you can come. But wanting, like, business owners to come and just try and look at this programme and hiring people, and we think that that's where our business needs to go towards. We need to start looking more sort of ethically, like, sustainable, you know, looking at more vegan options and that side of things. We think it's naturally where the market's going anyway, so that sort of short term in terms of our offering, that's what we're looking at. For me personally, I think we've never quite decided whether we want to completely sell the business as a whole or whether we want to look at franchising. So that kind of will depend, I guess, on where we are in 5 years in terms of quantity. I think we have got, you know, we do want to have at least 5, I think, before we make a decision. And at 5, I guess we'll know if we get the right offer and we can sell the business as a whole, great. But if we have staff with us, we've got really ambitious staff. We're very particular in hiring staff that want to work for us for a career, and they all seem to want to own their own businesses as well. So if we've naturally got people that want to franchise the business as well, then that's something that we're looking at as well. So that's, yeah, what we're looking at anyway.
Our aim for Not Dogs is we'd like to be in every major UK city across the UK, and I mean a massive aim for me is we'd like to sort of push out McDonald's. So that won't be, some of you won't like that, but that's what I'd like to do. So we're going to do that through opening more Not Dogs restaurants across the UK. And again, we've looked at franchising options too, and we've kind of started our business with that in mind. So we've got the plans and processes in place to start that, which could be a good idea. And then we've also, so like I said, we're the first all meat-free restaurant in a UK theme park, and that's Merlin Entertainments, who own Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, Sea Life, etc. And it's gone really well this season, so they're interested in us expanding, so that might be another leisure market. And then finally, we'd also are looking potentially, maybe not for a few more years, but to go into supermarkets with kind of Not Dog kits. So you'd get your packaging, you'd be able to put on the sauces yourself, because we like every Not Dog to look perfect, and hopefully they do. So you could do it at home and have a bit of fun. So that might be the retail market as well. That's kind of our vision, and it's all about healthier food for us, animals and the planet. That's kind of why we started Not Dogs. And if I had one piece of advice, I'd say to just go for it. Like, and don't listen to everyone else. Don't listen to all the negative people, because you'll get people around you going, oh no, don't start your own business. No, don't. It's got this. You know what? If you really want to do it, that's the main thing. So you don't have any regrets. Like, just go for it. Our motto and why we started was, what's the worst that can happen? If you're not going to die, just bloody try it, because you know that's what I'd say.
Yeah, just to pick up on that point, I think when I was in my final year, which is when we actually set up the business, all of my friends at Aston were doing their grad job applications, and everyone was like, oh my God, you're going to start a business. What, like, are you not going to get a grad job? And, you know, and I was like, no, I'm just going to do this. And I think there are so many voices there, some positive, some negative, but ultimately be true to yourself. I think listen to your gut, and you'll know sort of what you want to do. But yeah, so moving on to the aim. So I think short term, as I said, I'm starting to look at taking on production staff now, scale up the manufacturing. As I said, we've got quite a lot of interest from various parties, so scaling that up to meet that interest is the short term. Long term, I'd like to be in supermarkets. I'd like to be accessible, so the whole purpose of why we started the business. So whilst currently we are a frozen product, in the sort of longer term, I would like to be in the food to go section in supermarkets as well as the frozen, because the big thing for me is you shouldn't have to miss out on good food, good tasting food and healthy, because all of the samosas and things are all baked, they're not fried, and they're all less than 109 calories. So quite good for you, but still got quite a bit of flavour. And I think, you know, with all the different things out there, I think it's important to be looking at healthy options, looking at the environment, being as ethical as we can be. So in the long term, I'd like to be in the supermarket, in the food to go section, and have sustainable, eco-friendly packaging and things like that as much as we possibly can. In terms of a takeaway, I'm going to be a bit naughty and give you 3. So 3 that I've just thought of whilst we were talking were, firstly, I'd say do focus on your mindset. I think that's what I've learned a lot as an entrepreneur. You can have all these thoughts, you know, again, you can have the negative voices, you can have days where you doubt yourself. I think you need to know what you're doing and know why you're doing it, and have your long-term vision in mind. Because like these guys said, there's going to be days where you have to miss out on things, days when you're struggling financially, and having that long-term vision is really important. Again, getting the sort of mentorship, I think that is very important. So knowing early on and planning as much as you possibly can for the things that you need to know and do going forward. So having that knowledge and somebody there to impart that knowledge to you is important. And finally, I think your network. So when I first started out, I used to hate networking. Like, I honestly I'm really talkative with my friends and stuff, but when it would come to networking, I just used to find it really awkward. I didn't really see the point of it. But now that I've started to throw myself into it more and more, I've realised you just don't know where your next opportunity is going to come from. Or even just speaking to fellow entrepreneurs and sharing your experiences and learning from one another. I just think don't underestimate that. The power of networking is really important. So yeah, those would be my 3 takeaways.
Thank you. Yeah, let's have a big round of applause.